my God. Oh my God. She should be here. My daughter came face to face with pure evil that New Year's Eve.
I love you, Mommy.
Today, for the first time, one of the alleged accomplices in the murder of Twin Cities realtor Monique Baugh has admitted her role to the plot.
And I understand the frustration of feeling like this defendant.
Charges have been upgraded for two men accused of kidnapping and killing a young real estate agent. A grand jury today decided to charge both Cedric Berry and Barry Davis with first-degree premeditated murder and kidnapping.
I hate you guys had to go through this, and I will always pray that the truth comes out.
Because justice wasn't served. They didn't prove that nothing to do with me with this shit.
On December 29th, Monique Baugh, a thriving real estate agent, received what seemed like a routine phone call. A woman on the other end of the line expressed interest in viewing a home Monique was selling. Unbeknownst to her, that one phone call would set off a tragic chain of events, one that would lead her straight into a deadly trap. What started as a simple showing would soon unravel into a horrifying nightmare, putting Monique in grave danger and leaving her loved ones shattered. The request sounded innocent, just another day in the life of a hardworking realtor. But little did she know, she was walking into the final hours of her life. Before we begin the story, we want to take a moment to extend our heartfelt condolences to the friends, family, and loved ones of Monique Baugh. This devastating loss has left an irreplaceable void in the lives of those who knew and cherished her. This story unfolded in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a city known for its rich art scene, breathtaking parks, and the iconic Mississippi River flowing through its core. In recent years, Minneapolis has seen a troubling rise in violent crime, including shootings and assaults. While efforts have been made to combat this growing concern, the rising crime rate remains a serious issue for both residents and visitors alike. Monique Baugh was more than just a successful realtor. She was a daughter, a friend, and most importantly, a devoted mother. Born and raised in Minneapolis, Monique grew up in a close-knit family, surrounded by love and support. Her infectious smile, bubbly personality, and warm presence made her someone people gravitated toward. As a child, she shared an unbreakable bond with her cousin, Cheryl Sinkfield. The two were inseparable, earning the family nickname Thelma and Louise. Those who knew Monique described her as confident, radiant, and full of life, a woman whose energy could light up any room. Determined to succeed, Monique pursued her passion for real estate. She quickly made a name for herself in the Twin Cities market, earning praise for her professionalism, dedication, and ability to close deals. She wasn't just selling houses, she was building a future for herself and her family. It was through mutual friends in the Minneapolis music scene that Monique met John Mitchell, better known as Momo, a rising rapper. Despite their different career paths, Monique in real estate and John in music, the two found common ground in their shared ambition and deep love for one another. By the way, we post true crime stories and strange cases. If this interests you, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support means a lot and helps us continue sharing this content. Their love story grew stronger, and soon they welcomed two beautiful daughters into their world. Monique adored her children, pouring all her energy into providing them with a bright future. As a family, they created cherished memories, filled with laughter, love, and dreams of what was to come. But their happiness was about to be shattered in a way no one could have imagined. Monique Baugh and John Mitchell, known as Momo in the Minneapolis music scene, shared a bond that many admired. To those closest to them, their relationship was more than just love. It was a partnership built on mutual support and shared dreams. Cheryl Sinkfield, Monique's cousin and confidant, often described their connection as unbreakable. She admired how they lifted each other up, always pushing one another to succeed. Monique's infectious smile and vibrant energy were the perfect balance to John's ambition and drive. Together, they found joy in life's simplest moments: family outings, quiet nights at home, and the beautiful chaos of raising two young daughters. Monique was a dedicated mother, a loyal partner, and a woman who truly believed in the power of love. But beneath the surface, life wasn't without its challenges. And one of those challenges would soon spiral into a nightmare, one that would shatter their world forever. It was December 29, 2019, when Monique's phone rang. The voicemail was from a woman who introduced herself as Lisa Poloski. Her voice was calm, professional, just another client looking to schedule a house viewing in Maple Grove, Minnesota. At first, something about the call felt slightly off. Typically, potential buyers reached out through her real estate company, not directly to her personal number. Still, Monique, ever the dedicated professional, wasted no time returning the call. Lisa explained she was eager to buy a home and needed to schedule a showing as soon as possible. Always ready to help, Monique suggested a few time slots. After a brief conversation, they settled on December 30th at 11 a.m. What Monique didn't know was that this was no ordinary inquiry, this was a carefully orchestrated trap. The woman on the phone wasn't really named Lisa. Her real name was Elsa Segura, and she wasn't looking for a home. She was working with a group of conspirators, Lenan Wiggins, Cedric Berry, and Barry Davis, all entangled in a dangerous feud linked to Monique's boyfriend, Momo. At the center of the dispute? A bitter rivalry over a music label, money, and power. Unaware of the storm brewing around her, Monique prepared for the showing, believing she was simply doing her job. Meanwhile, her killers were setting their trap, ensuring everything was in place for when she arrived. On December 31, 2019, as the world prepared to celebrate the new year, Monique had other plans. She was getting ready for a family New Year's Eve party. Before heading home for the festivities, she made one last stop, the house in Maple Grove. She had no idea two men were already there lying in wait. As Monique stepped inside, the attack was swift and brutal. Before she could react, one of the men lunged at her, forcing her to the ground. Her hands and mouth were bound with tape, silencing her screams. Security cameras captured the chilling moment. Two figures dragging her out of the home and shoving her into the back of a U-Haul truck. In mere seconds, Monique's normal workday had transformed into a living nightmare. She was trapped, alone, and at the mercy of men who had no intention of letting her go. For 2 agonizing hours, Monique Baugh sat bound and terrified in the dark, suffocating space of the U-Haul truck as it roamed the streets of Minneapolis. Every bump in the road, every sudden stop, must have sent her heart racing. Was this the end? Would she ever see her daughters again? Fear, confusion, and desperation must have consumed her as she tried to make sense of what was happening. She wasn't just being kidnapped, she was part of something bigger, something deadly. This wasn't random. This was calculated. And the men who had taken her had no plans of showing mercy. At some point, Monique must have thought they would kill her right then and there. But the gunmen had other plans. Instead of ending her life immediately, they drove around for nearly 6 hours, keeping her captive in the back of the truck. Their destination? The home of her boyfriend, John Mitchell aka Momo. At 5:30 p.m., chaos erupted at John Mitchell's home on Humboldt Avenue. A masked gunman stormed inside, knowing exactly how to get in, using a key that had been taken from Monique. Inside the home, John and his 2 young daughters were completely unaware of the danger about to unfold. In an instant, gunfire rang out and John was hit multiple times. Bleeding, weak but still conscious, he knew he had to act fast. Lying on the ground, he called out to the gunman, desperately trying to understand what was happening. But the intruder was on a mission. This was more than just a random attack. This was a warning. A message. Despite his severe injuries, John managed to get crucial words out when the police arrived, making it clear that his children were inside and in danger. Meanwhile, Wanda Baugh, Monique's mother, was at work, unaware that her world was about to shatter. Her phone was flooded with missed calls and frantic messages from a concerned neighbor. At first, she was too busy to respond. But when she finally checked her phone, her stomach dropped. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Without hesitation, Wanda rushed to John's apartment, hoping, praying, that it was all a misunderstanding. But as she arrived, she saw the flashing lights of police cars and knew this was real. Stepping inside, she found John was already gone, rushed to the hospital, fighting for his life. But in the chaos, she saw something else, her 2 granddaughters unharmed but alone. Then came the chilling realization. On the floor, officers found a single door key. Wanda's breath caught in her throat. She recognized it immediately. It was Monique's. That's when everything became clear. Monique had been forced to hand over the key, giving the attackers access to John's home. Whether she had been coerced or tricked into it didn't matter. She was being used as a pawn in a much larger, far deadlier game. Panic surged through Wanda as the horrifying pieces of the puzzle came together. She knew John's music industry ties had brought tensions and enemies, but she never imagined it would lead to this. Now, Monique was missing, John was fighting for his life, and 2 little girls were left without either parent to protect them. Time was running out. Determined to find her daughter, Wanda turned to law enforcement. The police, already working against the clock, realized that whoever was behind this wasn't finished yet. With John still alive, the stakes were higher than ever. With every passing moment, Monique's fate became more uncertain. Where was she? Was she still alive? And then the news came. Monique Baugh was found and rushed to North Memorial Medical Center. But by the time she arrived, it was too late. She was pronounced dead shortly after. Back at the hospital
Today, for the first time, one of the alleged accomplices in the murder of Twin Cities realtor Monique Baugh has admitted her role to the plot.
John remained unconscious, unaware that his worst nightmare had already come true. It wasn't until he regained consciousness that officers arrived at his bedside. The room fell silent as they braced themselves to deliver the heartbreaking news. Monique was gone. His reaction. It's something only he can truly describe. When news of Monique Baugh's murder spread, the community was left in shock. A successful real estate agent, a loving mother of two, had been brutally executed in an act of cold-blooded violence. People were horrified. How could something like this happen to someone so full of life, ambition, and kindness? Law enforcement responded immediately, arriving at the devastating crime scene to find Monique's lifeless body riddled with multiple gunshot wounds. The sheer brutality of her murder sent chills through the city. This wasn't just a crime, it was a calculated execution. Police swiftly locked down the area, launching a full-scale investigation. Forensic teams meticulously combed through every inch of the scene, searching for anything that could bring Monique's killers to justice. Shell casings, possible DNA, security footage, every piece of evidence mattered. As detectives worked tirelessly to uncover the truth, shock and grief spread like wildfire. Friends and family were in disbelief. How could a simple real estate showing turn into such a gruesome tragedy? Then, a crucial breakthrough emerged, and it was caught on camera. Surveillance footage became the key to cracking the case. The chilling video showed Monique being ambushed, overpowered, and forced into the back of a U-Haul truck by two men. The footage confirmed the horrifying reality. Monique hadn't just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. She had been targeted. As detectives pieced together a timeline of events, a much darker truth began to surface. This wasn't just a random act of violence, it was a revenge plot that had spiraled into something far more sinister. Monique's murder was directly linked to a dangerous feud involving her boyfriend, John Mitchell, Momo, and Lenan Wiggins, a man with deep ties to both the music industry and the drug trade. What started as a dispute over a record label contract had ignited into a violent war fueled by betrayal, paranoia, and revenge. But why had Monique been caught in the middle? The tension between John and Wiggins had been escalating for months. The breaking point? A drug-related arrest that Wiggins believed was John's doing. Wiggins was convinced that John had snitched to the police, leading to a drug raid that cost him everything. The paranoia consumed him, and soon the grudge turned into a vendetta. On December 16th, Wiggins posted a cryptic video online, flashing stacks of cash, counting it in front of the camera. In a disturbing flex of power, he even stuffed some of the money into a dryer that, according to later evidence, was believed to belong to Monique's mother, Wanda. It was a silent but chilling message. Wiggins wasn't just out for revenge, he wanted to make it personal. To Wiggins and his crew, that money wasn't just cash, it was blood money, a supposed payment for snitching. Whether or not John was involved in Wiggins' downfall didn't matter. The accusation alone was enough to set off a deadly chain of events. As the streets whispered with rumors, resentment turned into revenge. Wiggins and his crew plotted something far more sinister than just settling a dispute. They wanted to make an example of John, and they chose Monique as their target. In the aftermath of Monique Baugh's brutal murder, the weight of grief wasn't the only thing John had to carry. Social media exploded with accusations, with some blaming him for Monique's death due to his connections to the music scene and alleged drug ties. But John pushed back hard against the claims. "I've never seen that Cedric dude in my life," he insisted, referring to one of the men charged in the attack. He was mourning the love of his life, the mother of his children, and now he was being dragged through the mud. Meanwhile, law enforcement wasted no time hunting down those responsible. The key suspects? Elsa Segura, a former probation officer who allegedly lured Monique to the fake house showing.
A woman is now in custody days after prosecutors charge her in connection to the death of a real estate agent. 28-year-old Elsa Segura was charged on Friday with 1 count of kidnapping. Segura is accused of luring 28-year-old Monique Baugh to a home that was for sale. Baugh was found shot and killed in a North Minneapolis alley on New Year's Eve.
Lenan Wiggins, the alleged mastermind behind the entire plot. Cedric Berry and Barry Davis, accused of carrying out the kidnapping and execution.
Cedric Berry and his friend Barry Davis are both now charged with the kidnapping and first-degree murder of 28-year-old realtor Monique Baugh. According to complaints, the men worked with Elsa Segura, who called Baugh on New Year's Eve and set up a fake showing at a home she was selling in Maple Grove.
Each of them faced serious charges, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, and kidnapping. Prosecutors argued that the attack was fueled by a bitter music industry dispute and accusations of snitching, a deadly mix that ultimately led to Monique's horrific fate. The trials began in June 2021, and the evidence against Cedric Berry and Barry Davis was overwhelming. Surveillance footage captured Monique's terrifying abduction. Witness testimonies, including John's harrowing account of being shot multiple times that same day. Forensic evidence proved Monique had been executed at point-blank range, making it clear her killers had no intention of letting her go.
4 people received life sentences in the case, but
The jury delivered a swift and chilling verdict. Both men were found guilty on all counts. Their punishment? Life in prison without parole. At sentencing, Barry showed no remorse, only frustration. "I'm about to get life without parole over a few fingerprints that said they were mine." Elsa Segura, the woman who made the fateful phone call that lured Monique to her death, faced trial separately. Prosecutors painted her as a crucial player in the setup, using a burner phone and the fake alias, Lisa Poloski, to deceive Monique. But her defense team fought back, arguing that she had no idea her co-conspirators planned to kill Monique. The jury wasn't convinced.
We reached out to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office that sent us this statement. Following the Minnesota Supreme Court opinion issued today, the case reverts to its status just before the trial. Ms. Segura will be transported back to Hennepin County Jail to face the 2 remaining counts of first-degree murder while committing a kidnapping and kidnapping to commit great bodily harm or terrorize.
Segura was found guilty of aiding and abetting first-degree murder, attempted murder, and kidnapping. Like the others, she was sentenced to life in prison.
In 2021, a jury found Segura guilty on 4 charges in relation to Baugh's death. Today, the decision reversed 2 of them, aiding and abetting first-degree premeditated murder and premeditated attempted murder. She is now entitled to a new trial.
Chris Lindahl Real Estate launched a fundraiser for Monique Baugh's daughters, with donations managed by their grandmother, Wanda Baugh. The campaign matched the first $10,000, and within 2 days, donors surpassed that amount. The goal is $40,000 to support the girl's future. Monique was a loving mother, and this fund honors her legacy. Thank you for your generosity. Sherelle Sinkfield, Monique's cousin, said Sinkfield. When you look at her oldest daughter and you're like, wow, like you are Monique all over again, and it is really hard because sometimes I just grab her and I just hug her because I am like, I picture this just, being Monique and hugging her. Monique's murder wasn't just another crime. It was a senseless, calculated act of violence that shattered an entire family. A woman who worked tirelessly for her children, who had built a career from the ground up, was gone in an instant. Though justice was served, it could never undo the pain left behind. For John, Monique's children, and her loved ones, the scars of that day will never fully heal. In February 2024, the Minnesota Supreme Court overturned Elsa Segura's conviction, shocking Monique Baugh's family. The court ruled there wasn't enough direct evidence and cited improper jury instructions. Now facing a retrial, Monique's family is bracing for another legal battle, determined to hold everyone accountable. Despite years of grief, her mother, Wanda, remains steadfast, ensuring Monique's story isn't forgotten.
My God! My God! She should be here! My daughter came face to face with pure evil that New Year's Eve. Monique did not have to die. I didn't have to throw her out like she was garbage either. My baby was so precious to me, to all of us. And I'm asking you, Your Honor, to please use your power to make sure they spend the rest of their miserable, insignificant lives in prison.
Though other suspects were convicted, this ruling has reopened deep wounds. But her family refuses to give up. They will keep fighting until justice is truly served. For Wanda, Elsa Segura's release has been devastating, forcing her to relive the nightmare all over again. But she refuses to give up. Justice for Monique is her mission.
What we're basing it on is circumstantial evidence. There can't be a different hypothesis that's reasonable other than guilt. When viewed together, these instructions misstate the law because by their plain language, they allow the jury to convict Segura of kidnapping, for the actions of others without reaching the issue of her liability. In this case, they were still incredibly thoughtful and really went through the law here, and I think they got it correct.
Monique's murder didn't just leave her family grieving, it turned them into advocates for victims of violence. They've shared her story in interviews, attended community events, and used their voices to raise awareness about domestic violence. The local community has stood by them, holding vigils and lighting candles to honor Monique's memory. Through their pain, they fight not just for Monique, but for all victims of senseless violence. They hope that by speaking out, they can help prevent another family from facing this kind of heartbreak. But for John, the weight of guilt is unbearable. He believed that keeping secrets would protect Monique and their daughters, but in the end, those same secrets made them easy targets. He thought shielding them from the dangers of his world would keep them safe, but silence became the real danger. In the end, the blame doesn't just fall on John or the killers, it also falls on a broken system that fails to protect the innocent. How many more families will suffer before real change happens? What do you think could have been done to prevent this tragedy? Thank you for watching another video of Truth in Crimes. Share your thoughts about this heartbreaking case in the comments below. We value your input. We dedicate ourselves to delivering accurate and compelling true crime stories using information from reliable sources. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon with another captivating story.